Welcome, folks. Introduction to Looker Studio. Good morning, folks. I have a table of data here. I want to show you how I use Looker Studio to delve into being able to view this data via a web interface, and other people can look at the data. They can filter and sort the data. We can build some charts and graphs, and we can use this data in one of Google Workspace products called Looker Studio. In this tab, I've got Looker Studio opened. I've started a new report. One of the first things I would do is rename this report and call this my donations report. So I'll give it a name. And then let's go ahead and insert a table. Let's start with a table. You'll see I'll have that ability to put that table in there. It's starting with my members and record count for each of those members. Let's go ahead and add some other data here. Let's go ahead and put in the date. Let's put in the event ID. Let's put in, let's see, we've got the name. Let's put in the payment type. Let's put in the purpose. And let's make our table a little bit wider. And you can see now I have 391 rows of data in here. Let's come back here and check. If I click here, I can see I have 392 minus my header. So that's matching. I actually can see all of the data that I want to be able to see. From here, let's do some formatting of my report. I think I want to move some of these around, so let's do our, let's first of all have our date at the top. Then let's have our name. Let's have our purpose of what event they're donating to. Let's have, it looks like we've left off the payment, the donation amount. Let's go ahead and add that in there. And let's put that under here. Let's move payment type up. As you can see, I can massage my table the way I want. I could then right click and I can resize columns to fit to data. So now my data fits a little better. Maybe I'll make the table a little bit wider and I can see all the data. Now let's take a look at what we can do with some of this data. This is obviously a date, but this I want to display as currency. So let's take a look at the actual data. I'm going to come here and look at my data, and my donation amount is showing as a number. And what I'd rather that show as is currency, US dollar. And if I go ahead and change that, say done, now it shows up over here as currency, as dollar currency. Now the advantage of Looker Studio is that I can build some filters, and I think I'll start with that. Let me add a filter. So we're going to insert a, well actually we're going to add a control. It's a control and it's going to be a drop-down list. One of the first things I'll do is here, so now we have a filter for name. And it should list all of my member names in there. So if I were to filter on member 57, then I'm going to see that member 57 has done 36 different donations. Now as I look at this, I don't really see a need for the record count. So let's get rid of that metric. I'm just going to remove it. And let's refilter this and go back to viewing everything. We'll reset that. Let's refresh this because my record count should have disappeared. And notice my table maybe isn't as tall as I want it to be. I'll make it a little bit taller. And let's member 15. Let's go ahead and reset this. And now I should be able to see all of those members in there. Now that I've set up my name filter, I'd like to actually customize that. So I'm going to switch to style. And it's a drop down, and I think what I'd like to do is let's change the background. Let's make this blue. And then I think I'm going to want to change my text to white. And maybe I'll make that text color just a little bit bigger. We'll move it up to say 16. So now that we have done that, what I'd like to do next is add a couple more filters, and I don't want to have to do that layout each time, that style. So I'm going to select that, I'm going to copy it and paste it. That gives me a duplicate, and I'm going to make another one of these. I'm going to copy and paste. So I basically now have 3 of the same filter. So let's go to filter 2 I've created here, and instead of it being the name, let's have this be the purpose. So I'll just replace name with purpose. And now I've got the purpose drop down, and then the third one, I'll click here and we'll go ahead and select the payment type. There we go. And let's go ahead and click the view button. Let's see what we have. So now if I click on purpose, I can just view what we have for event 7. These are the different events, and they're all event 7, and then I can click the reset button to go back to view the entire data. So I've learned how to use my filters. Let's go back to edit mode. I need to adjust this a little bit, and maybe I'll move all 3 of these over, and I will maybe move this over to line up with that, maybe make this about the width of that, and there I have a start. Now notice I do seem to have had something selected. I click the reset. I see I have 391. I'm going to view 100 at a time. If I want to view just my Venmo payments, you can see I have 102. But I'd like to be able to see that a little more clearly. So let's go ahead and add a chart. And the charts I like to use are the scorecard. So let's go ahead and put a scorecard here. And this is a scorecard that's showing my record count. But what I'd really like to do is show the record count of well, I want to do several things here. I want to get a sum of my donation amounts. Let's go ahead and see how we do that. We'll probably want to leave the record count here, but let's again switch from the setup of this to the style. And in this case, I'd like to change the background. Let's make these red. Again, when I do that, well, and let's center the way that data displays in there. And let's take a look. I'm looking for the color, and let's make the text white. And maybe make that just a little bit bigger. Let's go up to 30. And then one thing I like to do, I think it looks nicer, I'm going to add a border shadow, and I'm also going to round these edges, and I'll go up to 100. So now I've got little round scorecards. Shows me the record count. Now that I've set all those styles, I can copy and paste. I'll get a duplicate, and this time I'd like to see, instead of the record count, I'd like to see the donation amount. And there I see that it's turned into a sum. There's a sum of the donation amount, and now I can widen that out and see. I think I'll move this one all the way over, and I have my record count. And then I'm kind of curious how many, let's paste again, and this time I'd like to see how many unique members I have. So what I'm going to do here is I could leave this at record count. Well, no, actually, I'm going to change this to name. Now, name is going to, well, there we go. What I've done there is it's done a count distinct. So that's giving me a count distinct, and then I can change the default name of the data there to members. There we go. And so now I have what I'm looking for here. I've got my scorecards. So now if I actually go ahead and change to event 8, I see that 4 members have donated to event 8. This is whatever this event was. There's 5 record counts because we have 2 checks, and we have 5 record counts and 4 separate members. And in that event, the donation amount was $4,000. I'd like to make this look a little nicer. I'm going to go ahead and insert an image. I think there's an image insert here. Let's see, here we go, as an image. And let's see. Let's get rid of that. Let's upload. Okay, we needed to upload an image. I happen to have an image I'd like to use. It's this image here. And there we go. And I can go ahead and place that wherever I'd like. And if I, we'll leave it at that size for now. So now I have there we go. I actually have my logo. I've got this, and let me go ahead and reset so I can see. This is all the donations to date. I might make this a little bit taller. And I can look through and use this to evaluate my data. I'd like to be able to put a little chart in here. So let's add a pie chart. We'll just place it right here. And let's see, okay, that one automatically defaulted to the different pay types. And I could shrink that down. And I can see that I have these amounts, or these percentages. If I click on that and go to style, I could actually look at the, I think we can change this to percentage. Let's change that to a value. So I can see right here how many. Now I could probably narrow my table down a little bit. I think I could go ahead and narrow these down, narrow these down, narrow these down, and do something like that. And then I could select these 3 things by dragging across the top of them. I could arrange, and I could basically distribute horizontally. And now I have those, and I might move those down, something like that. So this is just playing around with format. And in this case, let me reset that. Here's my pie chart. I can make this a little bit bigger now. I've got myself a little more space. So there's a breakdown of how my donations are coming in. Let's see what other types of pie chart we could add. Now in my pie chart, I see that I actually have, and I know that my data is not representing what I'd like to see, because I'd like to see the dollar amounts of these. So right now my metric is the record count. Let's change the metric to the donation amount. And that gives me more what I'm looking for. So now I see I have these different amounts for PayPal, wire transfer, and so forth. So that's looking more the way I would like that. Let's add another pie chart. We'll add this one right here. This time, I don't want event IDs. Each of those IDs is a separate ID. So let's go ahead and instead let's do the purpose. And when we change that, now I can see the different events listed. And let's make this a little bit narrower so that it fits on the page. There we go. And let's make it the same size as this one. Maybe move it down a little bit and line it up. And let's reset that so we're not looking at any. Notice if I do this on my pie chart, event 4 is showing up in here, and it's showing me event 4, 35 people, $107,900 on event 4, whatever that event might be. If I switch to event 6, 3387, different dollar amount. Here, let's change it to this one, and I can quickly look at the different pieces of that. I'd like to do one more. Go ahead and reset that. I don't want to select. Notice if you do select one of these, for some reason when I click there, it's choosing just one person there, one record account, one amount. I'm going to go ahead and reset that. What I'd like to do with this table, again, I'm in the table style. I'd like to do alternating colors in my table. So let's see. There is an alternating. Here we go. Alternating odd row color. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and do something like that. And do this color here. That's a little bit too dark. Let's do something like this. There we go. And that's about it. Notice I have added a border shadow to this particular pie chart. Let me reset. And I'd like to do the same with this pie chart. Let me go ahead again to style. I always like to add these border shadows. And then let's go ahead and take a view and reset. And now we have an ability to share this data to other members of our team, where we can filter on a particular event. And I can do that and use the reset button. I could also click here to get to a particular event. Our biggest event was event 4, and I can reset. I could look at just checks and see who's paid by checks. And I could also, one thing we are missing here, let's go ahead and reset. I might want to just look at payments based on dates. One other thing that's nice about Looker Studio, notice these are showing me the information descending dates. Maybe I want to sort this by name descending, or name ascending, or purpose descending, or purpose ascending, and so forth. Maybe I want to sort by dollar amounts, okay? And maybe I want to sort that ascending. So it's real nice to be able to filter and sort the data. Let's go ahead and reset this, and let's take an example now of adding one last thing. Go back to my edit mode. I would like to add a control. I'd like to add a date range control, and I'll go ahead and stick that right in here. And the date range is going to be auto select. So let's go ahead and leave it at that. Now, if I select this date range, and I want to just see, I can look at this year to date and apply that. And now I'm just looking at year to date, January 1 through August 10. I could switch my, I could take a look at last year's donations. Let's go ahead and, looks like we didn't click that, last year, and apply. And now with that date range, I can quickly look at how many members we had a year ago, how many records, how much the donations were, and we could filter down into this data after we've done this date range. If I want to switch back, I would come back to, seems like there is an auto date range, and apply, and then I would just see all of the data. I hope you've enjoyed a quick introduction to Looker Studio. I always find it really handy to look at our data, filter it, sort it, and view it visually. And by the way, this is something that I can embed in a web page. so that my people that I share it with, right now it's not shared. I would have to share it with certain people. Right now it's restricted. Only people that I want to view it can view it, and that could be changed to anyone on the internet could view this, and then you could share the link and people would be able to look at your data. I did want to point out one other aspect of this. Let's say I do sort this by name, by member 80, for instance. Well, they don't have very much data. Let's find a different member. Let's find member 67. Not very much. Let's go back to some of these other members. Maybe member 2. We've got a few. I'm not sure which member would have the most. But notice when I'm on I am able to export this. So I could export this filtered data as a CSV or directly into a Google Sheet. So that's a real handy way to work with this data and have your people be able to grab snapshots of parts of the data and automatically create a data set that would be added to their Google Drive. Lots of fun things that you can use Looker Studio for. I'm excited to have been able to share it with you.